This is Cheryl Fox, the Executive Director of the Summit Land Conservancy. Great, okay. I think we've got most people in at this point. Thank you so much for coming to our Bring Your Own Bacon Conservation Breakfast this morning. Just to remind you, you will be able to see us and hopefully hear us, but we cannot see you. If you do need to talk to us during the event, go ahead and use that chat feature on the lower right section of your screen. Also, sound will come through your computer only. We thought long and hard about whether or not to hold our conservation breakfast at this time, and we're so grateful that you decided to join us. We want you to know that what we're doing this morning is something that we've never done before. So there might be some glitches. We might have already had some. We also mailed out programs on Monday, but I'm not sure that those arrived. So if you get those in the mail later, we apologize for that. Most importantly, we recognize that everyone is affected by COVID-19 right now. We want to help those members of our community who are hurting the most. So 5% of the donations that we receive today will be given to the Park City Community Foundation's Emergency Relief Fund. We're also supporting a local business, Ritual Chocolate, by sending gift certificates out to the first 200 people who RSVP'd for today's breakfast. Again, thank you for showing up for Open Space and for our community this morning. And now I'd like to introduce the Summit Land Conservancy's Board President, Kathleen Nichols.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us in this most unusual manner. I hope you all are safe and healthy and finding new ways to connect with family and friends near and far. We hope that in the brief time you spend with us this morning, you will leave with a feeling of hope and gratitude. We're all dealing with this crisis in our own way, and it has affected each of us differently. We recognize that we all are dealing with feelings of sadness or worry or disappointment right now. As the parents of 3 daughters, my husband and I are doing our best to show compassion and empathy for each of them as they individually deal with how the virus has impacted their lives. Our youngest, a senior in high school, is mourning the loss of her last year of high school and all the events that go along with that time of life. No senior prom, no senior trip, the abrupt end to a 13-year-long ski racing career, and no high school graduation ceremony and the celebrations that accompany that huge milestone in a teenager's life. Our middle daughter, a current college junior, was plucked from her study abroad program and arrived home last week. She is mourning the loss of potential friendships, living and learning in a different culture, and the missed travel opportunities. She is currently quarantined and will remain so for another week. Our eldest, a recent college graduate, is working for a nonprofit outside of Seattle, advocating for victims of sexual assault and doing her best to advocate for her clients while working from home. But as I remind my family, we are incredibly fortunate. We have our health and we have each other. And we live here in beautiful Summit County, where open space is abundant thanks to donors like yourselves. As I run in Round Valley or hike in Empire Canyon, I think how lucky I am to live here and be part of an organization that had the foresight and the will to preserve that land for the public to enjoy. More so now than ever, locals and second homeowners alike are running, hiking, and walking dogs on this open space. Open space unites us and provides relief and happiness. Summit Land Conservancy's mission doesn't change when a crisis hits. We save land because life is better with open space. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Kathleen. Again, this is Cheryl Fox, the Executive Director of the Summit Land Conservancy. Before I introduce our guest speaker, I want to take a moment to thank Kathleen and Scott Nichols for covering the cost of moving our breakfast to a virtual platform. I also want to thank Deer Valley Resort, who had planned on hosting this event and providing breakfast for all of us. We could not have pulled this off without technical support from Luke at Meeting One and our amazing Director of Operations, Amber Nelson, who figured out how to make this event happen virtually. Now please join me in welcoming E.E. Sue.
Thank you, Kathleen, and big thanks to Cheryl and Summit Land Conservancy for having me here today. I am so grateful that even during times like these, we can come together and celebrate the amazing work that is happening within this community. Needless to say, we are all experiencing a huge and dramatic shift in our lives due to COVID-19. The devastation, the uncertainty around the future, that's permeated through every aspect of our lives. But we will get through this. It reminds me of another time when I lived through another terrifying epidemic, and that was SARS in Beijing in 2003. And I remember the weeks of anxiety when my husband and I, we would choose whether we were going to stay indoors or we were going to go outside, because going outside in an urban metropolis means all of the threats that included simply stepping on our front door and pushing the elevator button. Even the elevator was a source of illness. I recall feeling very stifled as the weeks went by and realized just how much we take fresh air for granted because our bodies and our minds really started craving for it. We began to take these risks to get outside to the park, to stroll and escape the confines of our four walls and actually just to regain some sanity. I vividly remember the feeling of being outside during that time and that being in open space melted away this anxiety that really was saturating our everyday thoughts. So today we are facing COVID-19. I keep reminding myself how grateful I am that this time I'm here in Park City. The reason my family moved here after 15 years in an urban metropolis, well, it was so that even in desperate times like these, we can easily access open space, take deep breaths, clear our minds, and just create these momentary escapes in the simplicity and beauty of nature. Because every day, and especially during stressful times like these, nature and open space, it heals and it embraces us. In fact, there are multiple studies that show that green open space helps to lower stress, blood pressure, and heart rate. And of course, it encourages physical activity while improving moods and mental health. So my family, probably like yours, we feel really lucky that today, facing COVID-19, we could be trapped in a place like Park City, where we could take refuge in open space like Round Valley, Iron Mountain, McPolin Farms. These open spaces are the heart of Park City and a space for everyone to enjoy. So whether you are male, female, young, old, and regardless of your race, socioeconomic status, religious affiliation, sexual orientation, or political viewpoint, nature doesn't discriminate. It transcends all of these social boundaries, and especially today and every day, it provides free therapy for all of us, especially in times like these. So I am very grateful. So during this time, I couldn't help but draw parallels between how coronaviruses and COVID-19 affect human bodies to how climate change has impacted our Earth. A cough in humans is like the spewing of carbon emissions in our atmosphere. Global warming is a fever that plagues our planet as a result of those carbon emissions. And deforestation and the stripping of our land, that creates shortness of breath as we scar the lungs of our planet. And just like COVID-19, in order to solve the climate emergency, we must come together as a global community. But we need to begin that work locally. So it was the pioneering work of local Park City nonprofits overlaid with ambitious climate goals made by Park City and Summit County that really was the impetus for Mountain Towns 2030. Mayor Andy Bierman, Luke Carton, Bryn Carey, and I started Mountain Towns 2030 to show the world that small mountain communities like ours, we can have a big influence on issues as complex as global warming and climate change. And we could lead the way. Our goal was twofold: to help mountain towns transition to net zero by 2030, and then use that collective voice to influence the world to do the same. Our inaugural net zero conference last October convened elected officials from over 30 cities and counties with the conviction that when we align government, business, and citizens within a community, we can create and accomplish extraordinary things. And when these communities join together, we will have a global impact on climate change. So at that conference, for the first time ever, the titans of the ski resort industry came together to commit to collaborate around climate solutions. And elected officials from these towns came together to learn from each other about solutions at work in our communities, including a very well-attended session on land trusts and its impact. So we are very proud at MT 2030 that we've catalyzed climate work in over 20 other mountain communities since this conference. Getting to net zero, it's super complicated, and MT 2030 is working hard to develop tools and resources so each community can create their own roadmap to achieving net zero emissions. Okay, so how do we heal our planet? One, we reduce the harmful carbon emissions that cause global warming. And two, we create carbon sinks through regeneration. We plant trees, we preserve our land, we nurture our soils. This is called carbon sequestration, and it's often the overlooked solution to the puzzle, although it's getting a lot of focus now because it's so critical to help us turn the tide on the climate emergency. From biochar and composting to planting trees, capturing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and putting it back in our soils it's a huge, tremendous opportunity. The work that land trusts like Summit Land Conservancy is engaged in and regenerative agriculture projects between the city and Bill White Farms, those are making a direct impact in this area and helping us achieve net zero. Because our carbon footprint cannot compare to LA, New York, or even Salt Lake City, but what we can leverage is our land, our forests, and rangeland to do what they do best, sequester carbon. So this point is no better expressed than by Paul Hawken during our opening night at MT 2030. Paul Hawken is an environmentalist and author of the New York Times bestseller, The Drawdown, A Comprehensive Plan to Reverse Global Warming. This book was a result of the work of 75 scientists around the world, and it's a list of the top 100 solutions to combat the climate crisis. It highlights the importance of carbon sequestration. Solutions like managed grazing, forest protection, conservation agriculture, they are among the top 50 solutions. So here's Paul.
The earth has created this thing. What does life do? Life creates the conditions for more life. That's what life does. It creates the conditions that are conducive to life. And what our job and what our agenda is to create the conditions that are conducive to life on this planet. Now, soon, quickly, together, as communities. And because the earth is waiting for us to figure that out and recognize it.
I absolutely love what Paul is saying here, which is we need to put more life back into our earth. I think we can all do that. So the next time you are strolling through Round Valley or biking by McPullen Farm, I hope you not only appreciate the beauty and the recreation it offers you, but you also reflect on just how much it helps our planet simply by existing as open space. Now, I would like to end with a quote from conservationist Jane Goodall, who was my role model and also a keynote speaker at MT 2030. Only if we understand will we care. Only if we care will we help. Only if we help shall all be saved. So I would like to thank all of you today for caring so much to take the time to understand. And thank you for doing all you can to help, to protect our land, our planet, and ourselves. Thank you, and be well.
Thank you, EE. I love the sentence, being in open space melted away the anxiety. I know that feeling. One of the hallmarks of Summit Land Conservancy's Conservation Breakfast is the Conservationist of the Year Award. It's always hard for us to decide who should be honored. So many people give us important support. Landowners honor us with their trust, and our many partners are essential. This year, we decided to honor an unsung hero, someone never mentioned in a press release or applauded at a closing, but who helped us save the 4 landscapes on your screen right now. Here to present the 2020 Conservationist of the Year Award is our previous winner, Tennyson Klein.
Hi, my name is Tennyson Klein. Land is sure and important. This year's winner is someone who helps farmers save their land. She has worked with 3 different families on 4 separate deals and saved over 1,200 acres. Please join me in thanking B. Peck.
Good morning, and thank you, Tennyson. I'm thrilled by this. I'm stunned by this. And as a lawyer, I don't always get to take part in something that is so rewarding. And to be able to now drive by and visit these farms and ranches and know that they will always be farms and ranches is really the thrill of a lifetime. And I am so honored to have been able to work with Summit Land and the Pace family and the Wrights and the Osgothorpes. And I just can't thank you enough. So thank you, and be safe. Bye-bye.
Okay, good morning. Now you can see and hear me, I think. Congratulations, Bea, and thank you. As the Conservationist of the Year Award highlights, our work is the compilation of many partnerships. Lots of our partners are here today. Landowners, elected officials, government employees, private foundations, and our office mates at the Mountain Trails Foundation. Last November, the Summit Land Conservancy applied for a regional conservation partnership program grant. This is a federal program funded through the 2018 Farm Bill, and it can be used to improve trout habitat, protect wetlands, and save lands that aren't eligible for other federal programs. The Conservancy gathered a group of 35 partners for our application, including Trout Unlimited, Summit County, the City of Oakley, ranchers, and other nonprofits. Yesterday, the news was released that the Summit Land Conservancy and our partnership has been awarded $9.4 million. This funding will be shared by our many partners to further our common goal and save land here on the Wasatch Back, like these 4 landscapes on the slides right now that we're currently working to save. It took months to make that application and 4 full-time staff. This money will be used to save critical landscapes, but we can't use it to keep staff, pay rent, buy computers, or cover health benefits. This is why your gifts are so critical, and this is how we're able to leverage them. Your support allows us to write these major grant applications. Your gifts have an outsized impact benefiting both our many partners and land conservation. And saving land has a real human impact also. At the start of the COVID shutdown here in Park City, we sent out a survey. The responses amazed us, and we thought we'd share some of them with you.
Good morning. Can you hear me? I hope so. Well, cheers. No bacon, but I got some orange juice. I'm Will Hodgman, a new member of the Summit Land Board, and I want to thank you all for the time that you've given us. And I think those images that we just saw and the quotes we just read summarize the way we feel about open space here in Park City, in good times and in bad times and in COVID-19 times. As my wife, Carol, and I have not met many of you, I thought it would be good to give you a very brief background on us, and I promise I'll be brief. And some context on how we came to know Summit Land and why Summit Land needs all our help. We've been part-time owners here since 2016. And last June, we moved here from London to live in Park City full-time. As to how we came to know Summit Land, that is a short story that was discovered on one walk. In 2017, Carol and I were introduced to Summit Land as members of the Enclave up in the Sun Peak neighborhood. They're the owners bought out a piece of land from the developer, and Summit Land turned it into a conservation easement. However, that was not the moment we really came to know Summit Land. That moment was last June when I was on an early morning walk with Cheryl on Rambler in Round Valley. At that time, I didn't really know the massive impact Summit Land has had on Park City and the county. But on that walk, when I looked up at Round Valley and across the flats of Old Ranch Road, instantly I did. At that moment, one word came to mind: legacy. This open space will be here forever and for everyone. That fact cannot be understated. Forever and for everyone. And it was on that walk that we came to know Summit Land and the impact it makes on all of our lives. And from that moment, there was no way Carol and I could not help Summit Land extend its legacy of open space. In Park City, open space is our collective legacy. However, we are never, ever done in preserving it. As our populations grow, we know there will be more pressure to turn farms into subdivisions and meadows into condominiums. And most importantly, as E.E. said, climate change will not just magically disappear when COVID-19 is passed. We're super grateful that you've taken the time to share your morning with us and to celebrate our legacy of open space. At this time, we expect that not everyone can give. Fair enough. But if you can give today, Carol and I will match every donation. So whatever you give will be doubled. And with a little smile, if you need a nudge, and I'm serious about this, call Cheryl, take a walk or a ride, either around the valley or out to Camas or Oakley. And when you do, you will see what Summit Lands has done, and more importantly, what is still possible to add to our legacy of open space. Thank you very much, and here are some closing thoughts.
Can't beat waking up in Park City. Sunshine, snowy covered slopes in the background, picture perfect area. Treasure Hill up there in Old Town and Bonanza Flat being part of our wonderful places to go play. Down below, maybe the McPullen Farm, you might be able to see hundreds of days of cross-country skiing on it this year. You can't go wrong. And as you swing around, we come up to Quarry Mountain, which is one of my favorite hikes, and home to a huge elk herd that comes around up here every day. And coming all the way around back to the north, you can't go wrong. We have Round Valley. Round Valley is just one of the most beautiful backyards a person can possibly have. Love this place, being in Park City, can't go wrong. And the whole idea that this kind of place puts a smile on my face because we got so much open space. Enjoy.
Greetings, Summitland Conservancy folks and Cheryl Fox from the beautiful rail trail and some of our permanently protected open space in Summit County. Now more than ever, it's important to have open spaces that we can go to recharge, to renew ourselves, to calm the stresses and anxieties that we're feeling right now during COVID-19. Now more than ever, open space is an essential component of our health and well-being as a community. I'm so grateful for the leadership that you provide that has given us this amazing resource to our community. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Colleen Logan, and I'm honored to serve on the board of the Summit Land Conservancy. Of course, right now, our community, our country, our world is going through such an unusual time. But I think it gives us an opportunity to see some things. And even though our beautiful resorts and our fabulous restaurants and our charming Main Street are all closed, we're still able to enjoy the trails and all this beautiful land that we've set aside as a community. And so whether it's a beautiful place to live or a wonderful place to vacation, the essence of this place is open space. That's what makes us different, and that's what we can work together to preserve forever. So I ask you to join me and Summit Land Conservancy in continuing to preserve open space.
We're grateful for our open space during this quarantine. Not much has changed for us.
Mom, watch this.
Thank you, everybody, for your time this morning. A huge thank you to Will and Carol Hodgman for their support. We're so grateful that you took the time to join us this morning. These are interesting times and difficult times. Thank you for bearing with us as we moved our conservation breakfast to this crazy online format. I realized this morning that I haven't actually seen any of our staff members face-to-face since March 10th. So all of this was put together from our homes. We're so grateful for whatever support you can provide today. It will allow us to use those federal dollars and continue to save human habitat. If this isn't the right time for you to give, we completely understand. In the long run, we hope that you find the peace and resilience that you need in nature's beauty. Stay healthy. Thank you.